What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today we're going to do the maximum score against Immortal Vulkan. But before we talk any more about that, I want to touch on these tickets that you can actually get from the Ghost King. And these things are actually extremely generous, that they're going to give us, we can get either rubies, KF All-Star Fighter Summon tickets by 3, or cards, or experience bottles, or gold memory selection box, which I think is pretty damn cool that they're actually giving this for free every single day that we fight the Ghost King, this here, right here. Now, as far as Immortal Vulkan, you can see I was able to get to 500 million. This is a team that I used, and you definitely want to have a PG leadership. However, I don't have a PG leadership in the next team, and that's because these are just insanely OP characters. You got Delans here for the blue element attack by 55%. By the way, this boss is weak to blue fighters. You have Gintoki, who's also insane. All these characters have 3 PGs. All these characters are imprint stoned up pretty well, except for Gintoki, he doesn't have max imprint stones. And Rugal, we all know Rugal is just, he's a BS character. He's ridiculous. Lots of power, got the type advantage, lots of extra attack as well. They are just insane for this. If you have these characters, you really shouldn't have a big problem getting the max score if you have your characters built up fairly well. They are ridiculous. Now, before we get into the video and get into the run, let's talk about this guy for a little bit. So when you look at the strategy info, guys, stacks to receive damage increase on the target when poisoned, and applies the damage to team 1, stacks up to 50. So you want to make sure you have poison on the first team. And then burn effect can be removed when using an HP recovery. Significantly increases blue element fighter attack by removing the burn effect. Can be stacked to team 2 only. So what that means is you want poison damage on your first team, and on your second team, you want to have characters that have heals. That way you're increasing their blue fighters attack, and you want to make sure you have blue fighters, especially on the second team. On the first team, it's definitely nice and definitely a bonus if you have blue fighters, but you don't need them, as you all will see in the run that I'm going to do. But again, I'm using OP ridiculousness here, right? So I really don't need to. We got pretty big here for our poison damage. We got our other characters just to do a lot of damage. We got the 3 PG here from Rachel that's going to help stall the timer so we can do a lot more damage, combined with K's leadership for both of these characters. Lots of survivability actually between all 3 of these. And then for the second team, we just have 1 recovery stone here, and that's it. This here stone does recover Gintoki. Recovers HP by 6% by landing an active skill as a critical hit when HP is 70% or less. So when Gintoki gets below 70% HP, he starts getting a heal, which really helps. But to be truthful, guys, it's really they're just super strong and they just plow through it. Now, what other characters could you use for this? Well, the only poison damage characters we have as far as Fess are Pretty Big and Leona 12. And you really want leaderships that can work for them. The only leaderships that are really going to be good for Leona, let's click on blue here. There we go. The only leaderships that are going to really be awesome is Rio here. It's going to be freaking insane. And then we have New Year's Greeting Vice, who's actually has a really great leadership. She's got the increased fighter attack and the power charge rate by 10%. And on top of that, she also deals poison damage. And she has a freaking heal. So you could have her on the first or the second team. And not a character I'd really highly recommend because she can die. She's an attack type. She can die, but she will have the type advantage. And she will offer a heal. And remember, heals are really great for the second team. So you could use her as a leadership for the second team and then put 2 other blue characters to do your damage. You also have Shizuru. Now, Shizuru, to me here, she is just an absolute insane character because she's got this increased blue element fighter attack by 45% and the power charge rate by 20%, similar to Rio. The difference is, though, with Shizuru, she has a heal. So you definitely want her for your second team if you're going to use her in the leadership. You don't want her in the first team, you want her in the second team. So you could use New Year's Greeting Vice for the first team to have that poison damage. You could use Shizuru in the second team for the recovery and the leadership. She is actually really freaking amazing for this. My God, she is nuts. Click on blue here. Another character that you could use for your first team is Zhongfei. She does have the increased red element fighter attack by 40% and power charge rate by 20%. And the beautiful thing about Zhongfei is she does have poison damage. So you would definitely want her on your first team. She does a lot of nice little extra damage there. Really sweet. She's a balanced type fighter. She has increased all team members' power charge rate, including the caster, by 2% for 5 seconds when power is 2 or more, which is really nice. And then you got the poison damage. So you could use her on the first team with pretty big, and the more poison damage you apply, the better. All that's going to carry over to the second team. You're going to be able to do a whole lot more damage to the second team. So you could use Halloween Night Zhongfei, you could use Rachel, you could use Pretty Big, you could switch out Rachel for another character like The Rock, Hamaru. You could switch them out for Kay, whoever, to try to do really well. I mean, you're going to have 2 characters going to do poison damage. That's really all you need for that first team. Let's go back to blue. Now, what other characters offer recovery for this second team? Well, you have, let me scroll down here a little bit. You have Shermie here. Shermie is actually really amazing for the second team because she does have a heal in her kit. Recovers 3% of max HP upon landing a critical hit. So she has heals, recovers all team members' HP by, and this goes up when you level it up. So she has lots of heals, which is going to increase blue fighter's attack against Immortal Vulkan. Very good character actually for this. She actually can put in quite a bit of work for you. So you could use Midsummer Night Shizuru in the leadership. You could use Rio in the leadership and put Shermie on the team. And this is all if you don't have these characters here. If you don't have Rugal, if you don't have Dellen, if you don't have Gintoki, because these are 2 collab characters and this BS character a lot of people didn't get. If you have Rugal, you're probably loving life. You're probably loving life. Another character that probably would get overlooked is Gintoki here. Gintoki actually does have a heal. Recovers HP by 3% upon using an active skill when HP is 70% or less. So when his HP gets below 70%, he's going to have a heal as well. He's a blue fighter. He does have super armor. He's a defensive character. So his survivability ought to be pretty good. You'll have the type advantage. You're going to have all the extra defensive stats. So he actually could be really good. We've already talked about New Year's Greeting Vice. And then, of course, you have 2 other fest characters that have recovery, which is Leona 12. Now, Leona 12 is actually amazing for this thing because you can put her on the first team or the second team. Because on the first team, she does deal poison damage. On the second team, she does have a heal. So she's actually really good for both teams. So you can set up your first team could be all blue, and you could have Rio, Leona, and then some other blue character to do tons of damage. A character with 3 PG probably, maybe one of your damage dealers. I mean, if you have Rugal, maybe you could put him on that team. If you have Dellens, you could put him on that team. If you have Gintoki, put him on that team, and so on and so on and so on. And Orochi Leona is actually really good for this as well because Orochi Leona has a heal when she lands critical hits. So there's no, get to 70%. Really, the characters that you can just get heals automatically are the ones. So if they got heals in their active skills, or if they have a heal where it's not based on, getting below a certain amount of HP, they're really going to be the best. I was just throwing out some other options. She will be amazing for the second team. So again, you could have Halloween Night Zhongfei here. You could have Kay here. Those are going to be 2 great leaderships. And the reason I use this red team is because you get that extra poison damage. And really, you could just go with blue here. But really, I think Shizuru would be insane here. I think Leona, the two Leonas would be absolutely insane. So you could put Shizuru, the two Leonas here, and probably do really, really well. It might actually surprise you if you don't have these insanely OP characters. And as far as the builds for these characters, I mean, it's pretty much the same old stuff. You know, I have max imprint stones. By the way, these imprint stones are insane that you actually get from guild raid because you get the increased attack and the increased defense fighter attack by 12%. That's 22% a stone. Then I got a PG stone for a second stone. He absolutely needs that. And then I have the last stone, which is another stone from the guild raid, increased attack and defense fire. So I'm getting 22% extra attack here, 22% extra attack here, which is 44% extra attack. And then we're running the KS set. We got the option card, and we're going to use this 5PG, of course, because it's the long animation to stall that timer. Rachel here, we just have max imprint stones. We do have a Leah set, which is insane. Leah, Akane, maybe even the Orochi Fest set for boss fighters will be really good here as well. If you don't have those, then probably, you know, you're going to have to go with the Noah set, Mad Tea Party set. And then we have Pretty Big. Pretty Big's got the K set on her, 5PG Garden. She actually will do this 5PG on semi-auto with K in the leadership having that PG rate. No imprint stones on her, guys. She's just level 40. I know I'd say just level 40, but compared to these other characters, level 40 isn't that high. And she doesn't even have max imprint stones. Dylan here has max capsules. He has max imprint stones. We have a Leah set on him. And actually, Dylan, he actually dies. I actually did 2 runs. You guys can see I did pay the rubies because I was trying to get a run where he didn't die, but he actually died. But we'll still cap out the score. The first time I got the 500 million, he didn't die. But boy, he's pretty fragile. He dies actually pretty easy. But his leadership is absolutely insane for these characters. We don't have the PG rate, but again, for this team, it doesn't matter because they're so damn strong. Both of these characters here have PG rate in their core. Dylan actually has a little extra PG rate on one of his imprint stones, so that really helps. And they all have 3 PGs. Gintoki here, I already showed the imprint stone with the heal. We're running the Akane set on him. And again, he doesn't have max imprint stones, but they're really good. And this here isn't the best stone. If you get a stone from, let me see if I can find one here. From Guild Raid, I don't know if I have one. Let me see if I can find a blue stone here. We want a gold one. No. No. There we go. Like this stone here, increase attack. And this goes up to 10% and balance type fighter by 22% when it's maxed out. This stone would be better than this stone because this here you get attack, you get 22% extra attack. But these other stones that you get from the dungeons, you actually get HP and attack. I might make a separate video talking about this, but that is interesting that it is set up that way. So guild rate is really where it's at as far as your stones. Yeah, I don't have a third stone that actually I can change and get double the attack. And then Rugal, of course. My Rugal's level 45. He has max imprint stones. He doesn't have max capsules yet. Not quite. He doesn't. I could level up a little more, but I'm kind of saving these experience bottles. And as far as this card, we are going to use this, the Transcendental Being card set, which increases the boss fighter's attack by 35% in total with all 3 of these cards and the extra 14%. You do have the PvP exclusive, but honestly, gaining power doesn't help you here at all. I really just want it for all that extra CP and the extra attack. And then I have the Immortal Successor card on them because that actually increases active skill damage by 8%. Still gives us the cooldown. So having that extra skill damage is really, really powerful, especially for the BS characters who have a 13-second spam on their awakened skills, unlike the 10 seconds for all the other characters, which is nuts. This really, really helps your damage, getting that extra 3 seconds of spamming. That is just nuts. So let's jump into the action and let's rock and roll. Okay, so we talked about what you need to do. I'm going to be playing as K. Make sure you're running on semi-auto. and pour it on. And something I have noticed about Immortal Vulkan, unlike other bosses, I'm not really trying to direct K at all as far as my directional pad. You'll notice I never even move my directional pad. I'm just spamming my skills. All I'm doing is spamming my skills, and I'm going to keep spamming my skills until I get to his 5 PG. Now we got this 5 PG. I'm going to still keep spamming his skills. Keep spamming them. Now we're going to hit the 5 PG. And every once in a while, you know, K, he is kind of notorious for missing. It does happen, but we're still stalling the timer when we're doing this skill. So it's all good. The other characters are still doing damage to Immortal Vulkan, so it's not a big deal. We're getting more poison damage applied from pretty big, and that's exactly what we want. Now, I could have put a PG stone on Rachel. That would have actually helped, but I just wanted to show a run without the PG stone because I think a lot of players with the 7 nice characters, and Rachel was a free character, probably just have max imprint stones on her and aren't using a PG stone in the center. Not everybody has the ton of gold hammers to be able to level up multiple different stones for characters. So I'm not going to use my default finisher. I'm just going to keep pouring it on until we get to the 5 PG. That's really the most important thing if you're going to use this team. And Rachel just went ahead and jumped in there and said, you know what? It's an opportunity. We're just going to go ahead and do our 3 PG. All right, now we're going to do our 5 PG here. Oh, yeah. I do love K's 5 PG. I think it's fantastic. This thing is freaking cool. And it is so long. Wow. Oh my God, I love it. And it really is, and I mentioned this in the last time we did one of these Immortal Dungeon videos, it really is nice that we can spam our skills during PGs again. Very, very cool. I am loving it. And again, you know, this really, I don't think this is really the best team. It's just since I have such OP characters on the second team, I can get away with doing this. I mean, my main thing really here is just to apply a lot of poison damage. That's really all I'm trying to do. Apply lots and lots of poison damage. Your first team probably won't do a ton of damage. But if you set your first team up with a blue team, you'll have the type advantage. You might do more damage, I would think. But I don't have a lot of those characters leveled up, so that's why I'm not doing it that way. Okay, now I'm playing as Rugal, honestly, in high set. Maybe I should have played as Dylan, but I want to play as my favorite character, so I'm just using Rugal. And Rugal is just awesome because he has the extra attack buffs on the first and third skill, and then he's got the hyper armor, the interrupt hyper armor on the second skill. So, I mean, you can just plow through this. Plus, he has 30% PG rate in his core, which is just nuts. The character is just, he really is. I mean, the BS character is Orochi. I mean, I could have put Orochi and the BS Orochi in the leadership and used him, and then I could have just put Genis on the team and then Rugal, and that probably would have been more than enough too. But you see Dylan, he's taking quite a bit of damage. Even though he does have immunity, he's taking quite a bit of damage. And there he died. And we got 22 seconds left and he died. And we still need 150 million points. And this shows just how strong these BS characters are. We need 150 million points, right? Watch this, guys. Like with just Gintoki and Rugal, just these two, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. I mean, if Dylan would have stayed alive, it would have been a whole lot easier. But honestly, I just come in here one time. I didn't have to replay this. In fact, I did it twice, and Dylan died in both runs. And I didn't have to replay it either time. I hit the 500 million both times. That's how freaking crazy strong they are. And notice when I do get my 3 PG up, I still spam the hell out of them skills. Now, we've got 1 second left, so I went ahead and hit my 3 PG. And boom, he died. Look at that. That's how freaking crazy strong the BS characters are. And Gintoki, you can't leave him out. He is absolutely insane as well. So hopefully this will help some of you out there. Let me know in the comments how you're all doing against Immortal Vulkan. And as always, let me know what characters you've gotten, what cards you've gotten. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.